Coach DeBoer hitting the recruiting trail and trying to lock in some of Bama's best talent, not just guys for next year's class, but also the class of 27. And we're going to talk about the best running back in the nation, a guy from Jackson, Alabama, a place I drive through every time I go to Tuscaloosa. We're going to talk about Ezavier Crowell and Nick Saban, retired a year ago yesterday. Found out he's going to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about him and how you don't mess with Coach Saban. Shane Gillis, the actor, comedian, found out the hard way after going after Saban on the game day set. All of that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this thing going, guys. And again, appreciate you being here. And from the bottom of my heart, I say this all the time, but I mean this for you guys and for everyone watching. Roll Tide. Let's go.
Escape to Pearl River Resort.
Roll Tide, everybody. Welcome to the show. Mick, Gillespie here. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. As I said before, thank you for being here, and we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort. All right, let's get into some of the headlines. First off, it's that time of year where we're paying attention to the recruiting. And now Crowell's a guy who is, right now going to be the nation's number one sophomore running back, or next year will be the junior running back. But what a campaign this guy had his freshman year, kind of broke onto the scene. And everyone in the country wants him. I mean, you talk about offers being visited, obviously, by Alabama. He's been up there 5 different times to Tuscaloosa, Saban, and now with DeBoer. But Arizona, Arkansas, Auburn, Colorado, Florida State, Georgia, Georgia Tech, Miami, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, you name the college program, and they've offered this guy, and that's because he's that much of a stud. Broke out on the scene in Jackson in 2023 and had 1,700 plus rushing yards, 25 touchdowns on 166 carries. Also caught 11 passes for 212 yards, and then just continues to do things like that and score touchdowns. And he's an electrifying player, and he's someone that Alabama would really like to get. And we talked about this before, and I think it's important that this staff they have got to crush the in-state recruiting. And you can tell that they have stepped up the sense of urgency with the in-state guys this year. And I felt like that was, even though they had an incredible class, right? The number 2 class, I felt like they were a little light on the Alabama players. And I think part of that's just relationship building. And that's something that you're seeing Coach DeBoer and his staff. This would be a guy that Robert Gillespie would spend a lot of time with, in the running back room, and trying to get him to come to Tuscaloosa. But exciting stuff, because all you're hearing is that these guys really like to be around Coach DeBoer. This isn't Nick Saban. We've talked about this before. You guys know that. But DeBoer has his own way of being able to convince players to come play for him. He's got his own way of connecting. We had Jake Coker on Elephant in the Room. We do that podcast together on Cover Crimson. He said his dad made Nick Saban a steak, and Nick Saban didn't eat it. And I'm about to talk about Nick Saban. I got a feeling that Coach DeBoer would eat that steak, and it's just different guy, different year, and, obviously different recruitment. But we're going to keep an eye on all of these guys. It's hard to say between now and 27, where a guy's going to go. But this is a guy that you build your class around. Already the number 1 back in the class. He's an Alabama guy. And there's a connection there. So good for Coach DeBoer, Robert Gillespie, and their staff for pounding the pavement in the state. Now, it was a year ago yesterday that we found out Coach Saban retired. And I don't know. You guys probably remember if you watched the show. I kind of knew it was coming, talked about it a lot. I remember getting lit up in the comments section where people were like, hey, you're trying to push him out the door and all this. No, I mean, I just kept hearing that he might retire. Now, the funny part about it is that I don't even know if he knew he was going to retire. I think that we just kind of were hearing, hey, there's a possibility, probably from his agent. And then he was interviewing people. You remember this, the day that he retired. And then Alabama went out and they got Coach DeBoer. And, and all of a sudden life had just changed in an instant for the Crimson Tide. But Saban's still the greatest coach of all time. We saw a lot of growing pains over this first year for Coach DeBoer. But what was surprising to me is I thought the area where Coach DeBoer would be the strongest would be game management, just because he had so much success and he has in his entire track record as a head coach, winning at every level. And then, obviously Washington falling short to Michigan in the national championship game, but winning the Pac-12 and rolling through the conference, taking care of Oregon, all that stuff. And then it was, I thought maybe recruiting would be the tough thing. We're talking about it with guys like Crowell. I mean, he is just not losing out on the recruiting. I mean, he's able to go in the homes. He's comfortable. People like him. The coaches like him. The families like him. He did fine in recruiting. He did fine getting the fan base behind him. I know Paul Feinbaum says he's on the hot seat. I don't feel that way at all. The shortcoming's been the game management aspect of it. And I think a lot of that has to do with connecting with the players and getting them to be disciplined going into the games that they're supposed to win. Because the games where they've been locked in, the Georgia game, the LSU game, maybe not Tennessee, but, some of these big rivalry games, Auburn, they took care of business. It's just looking back on the season, knowing that there were a couple of games that cost them the opportunity to be playing in the college football playoff, and who knows what would have happened. But it was a year ago that Nick Saban retired. Now, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about. First off, we heard that Shane Gillis got Sabaned. He made that comment about Saban paying players. We knew about that, but apparently after game day went off, Saban gave him a little taste of what it's like to be on the wrong side of Coach Saban. He didn't take that very kindly. Shane Gillis is, Notre Dame fan and and a comedian, and he was being funny. He called him Alabama Jones. It was a little bit disrespectful, but I think it came from a good place. But at the same time, don't go out there and try to poke the bear. Because I think you're going to find out the hard way, just like Shane Gillis did, is you've got to give Saban his respect. I mean, he's the greatest coach of all time. But I love that about him. I mean, maybe he's on game day. Maybe we're getting a little bit nicer of Coach Saban than we have in the past. But it's still the same old ball coach that's ready to rip you up if you deserve it. So, Shane Gillis, you found out the hard way. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was this. Coach Saban elected into the College Football Hall of Fame, and why not, right? He's the greatest coach of all time. And it really is cool to see him get on there. And I love the way that they did it on game day. They just surprised him. They didn't tell him. And then they're talking about the College Football Hall of Fame. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, Coach Saban's going to headline the class. So it's an easy pick. I mean, no doubt about it. It is an easy pick to put Coach Saban in there. All the national championships at Bama, all the national championships. He won one at LSU. So I think 7 total, 6 at Alabama, all the SEC championships, all the people that made, tons of money because of, obviously his, great coaching and teaching and all of that stuff. So, congratulations to him. This was an easy one, but Coach Saban going into the College Football Hall of Fame. And then a couple of transfer destinations. I don't like to spend a whole lot of time on this, and I hate it for some of these guys, but Elijah Pritchett, who was in the portal last year, came back, went in the portal this year. He's going to Nebraska. Sterling Dixon is going to NC State. Justin Akaramba is going to South Carolina. I know I said that name wrong. And then Ty Lockwood is joining quarterback Dylan Lonergan at Boston College. So still don't know where King Mac's going. I'm sure by now you know that Jeremiah Alexander's going to Clemson. But we'll keep an eye on that. Bama working on that transfer portal as well. Still with some opportunities there to come to Tuscaloosa. But just something to pass on to you guys. But look, hey, I hope you have a great Saturday. thank you for being here. And like, subscribe, get in the comments section. Tell me what you think. And then look, I got this now. So when I talk to you guys about Daniel Moore, newlifeart.com, you can actually see some of my great Daniel Moore prints. And I love this one right here. Boom. That is the LSU game. I sat with Cheryl Yingling, 50-yard line, second deck next to some of the Smelly's family. He actually signed this picture right here, but he was on the field at the game, and it was awesome. We had such a great time. LSU didn't get past the 50. It was fantastic, and that was the second of Saban's natties. This whole wall is dedicated to Saban national championships, and then this one right here is Antoine Petway. But you guys can take advantage of our code. It's Bama Tailgate, 20% off when you go to newlifeart.com. Daniel Moore, take advantage of that now. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are brought to you by newlifeart.com and the one and only Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. And we appreciate those guys so much. Take advantage of what they got going on right now, including the casino and sports book at the time. It's the Timeout Sports Lounge at Golden Moon Casino, Silver Star, table games and slots. We like the machines. You like the one-arm bandits. They got those there as well. They got the spa. They got Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, the Azaleas and the Oaks. I was on Steve Azar's Mississippi radio show on Friday. I think it re-airs on Sunday throughout the state of Mississippi. But we were talking about how good the golf course is at Dancing Rabbit. So take advantage of that. And if you put 50 down at the sports book, you can play Dancing Rabbit for $40. But anyway, guys, thank you for being here. Have a great Saturday. Roll Tide, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow. And Sunday's always a big show. So we'll see. Maybe we'll have something fun to talk about. Roll Tide.